Hello, welcome to Administration of Justice 139, Gangs and Threat Groups in America. I will be your professor. My name is Sergio Verbis, and one of the things that I like to do uh, in all my classes is to start setting up relationships within my classes. I like to have my classes be safe areas where people can learn. They can ask any question. They can provide feedback on controversial issues. This is going to be my first online class, so I will be learning a lot throughout this semester on how to teach these classes and get some of the stuff that I know that I want you guys to know and have in your tool belt, so that when you finally graduate with either your AA or your bachelor's degree, you and go into your chosen profession, this class will somehow help you, whether you're going to be a police officer, or you're going to be a parole officer or a probation officer, or if you decide to become an attorney, either a prosecutor or a defense attorney, or if you decide, you know what, I'm going to become an architect. Somehow, some way, I want this class to be able to help you out and understand how our society works. All this, just really quick, one of the things that you're going to learn throughout the semester is that every controversial subject that is on the news right now directly or indirectly affects gangs, their recruitment efforts, their growth, uh, their the way where they immigrate to or migrate to. Uh, all those things are affected, and so these are huge policy issues, governmental policy issues that you really got to understand, because they're very complex because you're dealing with people. So that's just a little intro. But before we even get into that, let me tell you who I am. I want to first start with my background. I always like to start with the personal stuff. Um, I am a husband. I've been married for 10 years with my wife. She is a law enforcement professional. She works for the California Department of it's the medical board. Um, and before that, she worked with alcohol beverage control. So uh, at one time, me and my wife were both in law enforcement. I am now retired. I'll share my retirement story here in just a second. I am a father of two girls. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. My 5-year-old starts kindergarten here uh, this year. I've been teaching about gangs for about 20 plus years uh, to citizen groups, uh, officers in service training with the officers at my department, officers from other departments. I've also taught like the explorers within my department, and civilian staff, uh, city staff. I've done lectures for like our parks department, because they stumble upon this gang graffiti or gang fights at different parks within the city of Brentwood. And I've been teaching at DVC for about a year and a half, and this is like I said before, this is my first online class. Before that, I was teaching all in-person classes, which was great because we were doing a lot of discussion in my classes, and we were tackling a lot of big issues. One of the issues that last semester became exploded, and before that it wasn't really a big deal, but it exploded, and we had to put some rules around the way we discussed about this issue, because we did have some students that came from opposing views. Um, was immigration, and there are students that believe that our immigration policies are not so sound right now, and we have students on our campus that believe that immigrants shouldn't be deported. Later on in the semester, we're going to talk about that because it is an important issue that we do need to discuss. Um, so those are some of the things that we will be tackling. Um, Also, I want to share where am I from. Originally, I'm from San Francisco, California. I grew up in the Mission District, which at the time when I grew up was a hotbed of gang activity within the city limits. It is still a very uh, uh, problem area for the San Francisco Police Department. My second oldest brother, Hector, was a street gang member. He was a member of a gang called San Fran Mission, which still exists, one of the oldest Norteño street gangs in San Francisco. He did a lot of state prison time, and he eventually was recruited and became a Nuestra Familia prison gang member. We are going to talk about this at length. I'm going to share my brother's story because I believe it's a microcosm of how gangs operate and how they can destroy not only one's family, but how it can destroy a community, schools, how these gangs become destructive. And this is the reason why everybody has uh, uh, an opinion about gangs. This is why you hear people trying to say that they want to eradicate gangs. You got to be careful when you hear leaders say that, because gangs have existed from the beginning of time. As soon as we left the cave as cavemen, we started to join up because we started to realize that we were more powerful as a group than as individuals. And once we learned that as human beings, gangs started to become part of our fabric, our culture, our politics. So we're not going to eradicate gangs. That's a dream, and you almost have to question someone's knowledge in this area or in this field. So let's move on. My education. Right now, I am a school teacher. I'm a high school teacher. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But my education, I have my single subject credential in social science, and I got that credential from Brandman University. I have a Master's of Science degree in Emergency Services Administration from California State Long Beach. Go Beach! For any of you that want to go to Long Beach, great school. Um, Master's of Science in Emergency Services Administration. Basically, it's a combination of emergency management and uh, public administration. So you get a little bit of both. My thesis statement was about gang violence and how to have investigative teams become more efficient and more effective, because most jurisdictions are dealing with gang violence either on a nightly basis or on a weekly basis. California, if you're in California, we have a gang problem. There's no city in the state of California that does not have a gang problem, because the whole state has a gang problem. And so we have a gang problem. So if even if you live in if you come from a community that's affluent, you are probably surrounded by one or two communities in the county that are having issues with gangs. And eventually those gang members will start to target affluent areas because that's where money's at. So in essence, everybody has a gang problem. I received my Bachelor's of Art degree in history from the University of California at Davis. Go Aggies, great school too. If you guys are considering that school, definitely recommend it. But what do I have to offer you? Who am I? Well, let me tell you a little bit about me. I have 14 years of law enforcement experience with the Brentwood Police Department. At the time when I joined the Brentwood Police Department, it was only 13,000 people. It is now 65,000 people. At the time, I was one of 68 officers when I retired in 2013. I retired from a back injury. I unfortunately got hurt and needed back surgery, and that basically was the end of my career in law enforcement. However, in those 14 years, I was a Superior Court expert in possession, sales, and transportation. Each one of those, you have to be experts in each one of those drugs. So you could be an expert in marijuana, possession for marijuana, sales of marijuana, and transportation of marijuana. And so those are just marijuana, I've got 3 different expertises. So methamphetamine, cocaine, and ecstasy, as well as Hispanic criminal street gangs, which at the time I think I was one of maybe 3 detectives slash officers that had that, and prison gang. I think I was the only one at the time that was an expert in prison gangs. I was a Cal Gang instructor, which is a gang intelligence database. I was one of a few instructors in the county that went around teaching officers how to deal with that. I was a former member of the Contra Costa County Gang Task Force and the Gang Resource and Intelligence Team. So the task force was it was a political task force that looked at the gang problem from all aspects, for health care, uh, the DA's office, law enforcement, parole, probation, schools. I was just one member of a huge group of people. And so we looked at how gangs affected us. So that was from a political standpoint. It was actually run by a county supervisor here within Contra Costa County. It was a great task force. We did a lot of good work. And then we had the Gang Resource Intelligence Team, which was totally different. We came together once a month. Law enforcement professionals came in a secret location because we had very sensitive information. We would come together, talk about that information, and once a month, and we would disseminate that information, and then we would also help each other on different gang operations throughout the county. So great resource. By the time I left law enforcement, they were trying to get rid of grit because some chiefs within the county were saying that we didn't have a gang problem. It's very cyclic. You'll hear that. You'll hear people say that we no longer have a gang problem. You guys already know how I feel about that. Operated as a plainclothes and undercover detective in gang, vice, and narcotic related investigations. I was a part of 2 very high-profile federal investigations, as well as my own cases that my agency that came up within the city of Brentwood's jurisdiction. So I have a lot of experience in working plainclothes and undercover, which are 2 different things. Plainclothes is just you dress in jeans and you kind of look normal, like a normal citizen, and in undercover you actually go and you start you're playing another character. I did not like doing the undercover thing. Very dangerous. I have 6 years of police supervision experience as a police sergeant, and that's the rank that I retired at, was street supervisor. Again, like I told you guys, I retired in 2013 due to my back. Took me about a year to get myself strong enough after all my rehabilitation on my back, and I decided to go into education, which was a field that I always wanted to get into. Education is all the skills that I learned as a police officer. They became like I was able to transfer all those skills right into the classroom. For the last 2 years, I've been teaching 7th grade world history at a junior high school called Rancho Medanos Junior High in Pittsburgh, California. Pittsburgh has a very long history of gangs, both Hispanic and black gangs. And I'm currently now a 11th and 12th grade teacher at a high school at Las Positas Junior College in Livermore. So I'm teaching U.S. history, civics, and economics. So that's me. I hope I didn't bore you, but now you know what I'm going to want from you when you write your Who Am I's on your assignments for week 1. If you have any questions, text me or email me. Refer to your syllabus, and I will also have a small lecture on the syllabus and the class schedule for week 1. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.